Hello, Gemini, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of August 31st through September 6th. And during that time, we'll have a first quarter moon that happens on the 31st, the 1st, depending on where you are. And of course, that can be a time when we feel a little bit impulsive or impatient. When your mind's very active, kind of hard to settle down and get anything done. You can be a little frustrated, kind of like the full moon energy. It reminds me of a little bit, but doesn't last quite as long. But keep that in mind. We then move into the waxing gibbous, and it's a little calmer, good time for understanding, a better understanding and outlook, and acting on your intuition and your introspection. A good time for planning, preparation, and just executing the things that you've just started on the new moon. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Gemini. So as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. Your overall message for this particular reading: what do you need to release? All right, let's see what the Gemini Collective has going on for this week. Gemini, I would like to say that since my readings are free to you, all that I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button down there. It really helps my channel. It's super, super easy for you to do. So I will give you just a moment to get that done right now as I'm shuffling. Thank you so much. And if you've been a subscriber, thank you for coming back and helping me build a community here. I see you and I do appreciate you. So thank you so much. And my weekly reminder this week, Gemini, is that you keep a spiritual journal. Sometimes we don't recognize the patterns evolving in our life when it comes to our spiritual experiences. So keeping track of those things, and this could be things like synchronicities, maybe dreams or encounters that you've had, things, where you're learning something. But it just kind of helps you look back on those emerging patterns, and that can be an important tool as you're evolving spiritually. So that is my fun reminder this week, is that you keep a spiritual journal. All right, without further ado, Gemini, let's get into this reading. What do you need to release August 31st through September 6th? And your overall message card is the King of Swords. So maybe it's some sort of thoughts that you need to release. There may be some pattern of thinking that you have. This could be something that you need to just say, get off your chest. Maybe there's something that you need to release with someone around you. But it's probably like a thought pattern thing where you're thinking a thing. It's just the feeling I'm getting. And that's typically, our King of Swords is our very logical king, right? This is who I call like our Mr. Spock of the deck. So, it could be something where you're thinking so logically that you're not even letting your feelings come into it. So maybe you need to release that a little bit and be a little bit more, try to get a little bit more in touch with your feelings if that's something you're experiencing right now. Your current situation is the World card. So you are kind of at an end of some sort of cycle here. So, the Fool is the beginning of the journey. This card is the end of a journey. So this is the end of something, and maybe it is that you're wanting to feel things a little bit more. But find out what you need to release. You might be looking back and saying, well, I'm kind of reaching the end of, then this could just be something as something internal, like a growth, like a spiritual growth thing that you've been going through, or something that you've just trying to conquer for yourself, but you've kind of reached the end of this journey, and you're I feel like in kind of an evaluation mode right now. At the root of your situation is the Page of Wands. So it could be that you've discovered something that you're feeling passionate about, something that's new to you. This is kind of a new path in the way of passion. So, this could be something that you've discovered along this journey, whatever you've been on. And this could be a journey that's taken years, but it could be something that's taken weeks. It's a different, it'll be different things for different people, of course. But during that, you've discovered like, oh, I was engaged in this thing, but now I'm feeling very passionate about this thing. It could have been that one thing kind of sparks another, right? So, but there's some sort of passion that's been sparked there. In your recent past is the Two of Swords. So you might have been kind of in a place of indecision when it comes to this particular thing that you're wrapping up. And maybe that's why you wrapped it up. Maybe you were kind of being indecisive about something. You've made a decision, and that's why, oh, okay, the decision um, moves you forward to the ending of something, which again, here we're back at the swords here and back at, is there something that you need to release that is mental or that is verbal, right? On your mind this week is feeling a little bit congratulatory, and it could be because of this journey, because you've reached the end of some sort of journey here that you're like, okay, I made it. Kind of a whew, I'm getting that feeling that whew, made it, we're there, we're good. What that might be for you, I don't know, but enjoy it. Whatever it is, maybe you just need to release some stress because that, something was weighing kind of heavy on you and it's off your mind now. What is just ahead of you this week is the Empress. So the Empress, of course, is our card of creativity and pregnancy. And it doesn't always mean actual physical pregnancy, although for some of you it may. So Gemini's out there, watch for that in your world also. But for the rest of us that are not working on pregnancies, it's about giving birth to a thought or an idea or a creative project or something, but something that's a little bit long term. It's not like you're going to start something small, like you're going to sew a pair of baby booties, which will take you however much, or crochet or whatever. I don't do that, so I'm not sure how much time that takes, but I would imagine it takes a lot less time to sew a couple of baby booties than it does a giant blanket, right? So this is more the giant blanket sort. It's the kind of thing that you start that you're going to have to chip away at over time and work on and but it's something you're willing to commit to very long term. In your advice position is a 10 of wands here. So you're going to wrap something up. So you are wrapping up some sort of passion. You're feeling kind of proud of yourself. You're getting a little bit of, congratulations about it. But maybe it's sparking this new thing, and it might be sparking a new project that you're going to take on. So um, very, very interesting. So your advice is to go ahead, push through with this ending, and let's get to the next thing. Let's get to this new creative thing that's going to happen for you. What is beyond your control this week is feeling very generous. It looks like either, I always ask people what's happening in this card and have them answer for me. And some will say, well, this person is giving to these two. And some will say, well, these people are receiving. So whichever way you answer right now is kind of where you are. And it's beyond your control to either be in giving mode or in receiving mode. And both are fine. Just kind of depends on where you are. And that's beyond your control this week. So if you're feeling generous, definitely help people around you. If you're feeling in need, definitely take help from those around you. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Is the Two of Cups, which is coming together in some sort of partnership. And this could be a partnership to attain this goal. This might be someone that you want to work with, or maybe you're avoiding working with someone else. But definitely look up angel number 22. That's the second time I've had that number come up in these readings for this cycle. But it could, are you wanting to come together with someone to do some sort of creative project, something that's going to be long term, as you start this new cycle? Or are you trying to avoid, having a creative partnership? Are you trying to go it alone? That'll be kind of your big question this week when it comes to anything related to this. In your outcome position is the Ace of Cups. So, whatever it is that you choose here, whether you choose to partner up with someone or do that alone, this thing that you're embarking on that's kind of a new passion, you were a little indecisive about it, but you're letting this old cycle close. And I feel like you're definitely going to love the new thing that you're heading towards. So what is it that you need to release? That'll be your big question this week. Is there something that you've learned? If you've learned kind of a new way of being and you're going to let something go and think, I'm going to try to be this different person in this next cycle, but it is something again that's long term there with the Empress card. So, what is hidden from you this week at the bottom of the deck is the Eight of Cups, which is definitely kind of seeking out to see what else is out there. And I feel like you already know that. You already have the answer to that. So that's not even something that you're going to be taking a look at, because I think those decisions have already been made. You're like, you had some indecision, you made a decision that prompted the end of the cycle. Again, is it something you need to get off your mind or off of your chest verbally? But, are you going to come together in partnership with someone for some new long-term passion, some new long-term vision? And whether you choose that person, to choose to do this with someone else or not, you're really going to love this new path that you're on. I think you're going to turn around and say, I'm really glad I made that decision to commit to this thing very long term. Because your Ace of Cups just shows that you're gonna love whatever it is. So I love that for you, Gemini. Let's get a final word here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final word for Gemini as they kind of go through this ending and beginning, which is nice. Endings, of course, do bring on new beginnings. All right, this card here, refine your attention. Okay, so whatever maybe that's about this new passion, what is it that you need to be focusing on as you're maybe making these plans for some creative thing or something that you're going to give birth to now, but really commit to over the long haul? Let's see what you need to do, Gemini, in the way of self-care this week. Self-care for Gemini this week as they go through this. You get the Self card, and it's a little person coming out of a cage there. If beating yourself up worked, you'd be thin, rich, and happy. Try loving yourself instead. So maybe that's the thing that you need to let go too, is maybe that, that being hard on yourself. Go ahead and congratulate yourself for a job well done. You've gotten to the end of some cycle. There's no need to beat yourself up. Maybe your new project is to be more loving towards yourself and towards others, and maybe towards someone else as well, maybe in the romantic sense. So, but whatever it is that you choose here, Gemini, I think you're going to love the outcome. So make sure that you release the thing, figure out what that is. It'll be different for different Geminis, but figure out what it is that you do need to release at the end of this cycle before you pick up the pieces to move on to the next. What are you learning? What have you just learned? And what do you either need to, a way of thinking that needs to stop, or maybe even you just need to speak in a different way, if that makes sense. So Gemini, I wish you all the best with all of this. I hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in your life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, of course, drop me a comment and let me know, what is it that you've just come to realize, or is there something, is this resonating with you, or are you starting some long-term project, some new passion that you found? You might want to compare notes with the other Geminis that are listening to these readings or watching these readings. So anyway, I do post weekly, so come back next week and we'll see if this situation continues like this, or if there's some completely new energy here for you. Of course, if you like my reading style, please click that like and subscribe button. That just pushes me out in the algorithm, and I appreciate that so much. But more importantly, Gemini, it'll help you find me next week so we can see what happens in your story. So thanks so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.